As far as I'm concerned, there is no better way to start an early fall morning than a hot cup of coffee and laying eyes on the ones you love. But have you ever wondered why insurance on ourselves is always affordable, but finding insurance on the ones you love, that can get costly? That's why I was just as happy to find a company that cared as much for the ones we love as they do for us. Thanks, guys. Truck Nuts Insurance, protecting the ones you love. For a free quote, call 1-555-328-3339. Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew with Living History's Mysteries and Three-Eyed Raven Productions. You know, looking back on history, there are few things that stick out so much, but they were actually considered to be wonders of the world. Today, we're going to take a look at one of the most historical movements made in the forming of our country. Today we're going to take a look at the Transcontinental Railroad, but not just the railroad itself. We're going to take a look at the construction of the railroad that finalized the bridging between the East Coast and the West Coast. The gold mining operations in California, the Sierra Nevadas, Donner Pass. Check this out.
the Sierra Nevada mountains drew fortune seekers from all over the world to the heart of Placer County. By the early 1850s, the gold rush was over, and the area was searching for new ways to pull money out of the ground. California had a lot to offer, but moving freight was difficult, expensive, and dangerous. The obvious solution was to take advantage of the power of railroads. But was it even possible to get a train all the way over the 7,200-foot Donner Summit? Or would it turn out to be a swindle on the American taxpayers? This was a question that would take years and tens of millions of dollars to answer. During the second year of the Civil War, as President Lincoln was resolved to unify the North and South, he hoped this plan would also unite the East and the West. In 1862, the Pacific Railway Act was passed, putting the full faith and, more importantly, funding of the American government behind the construction of a transcontinental railroad. If completed, this massive infrastructure project would change the face of transportation and commerce. With its stated companion project of a coast-to-coast telegraph line, it was also about to change the speed of cross-continent communication from months to seconds. Out of the millions of small problems that plague enterprises of this size, there was just one that seemed insurmountable: the Sierra Nevada. Many believed the portion of the proposed railroad that ran through Placer County would be impossible to build. The terrain was too rough, the incline too steep, and the granite spine of the mountains impenetrable. However, according to Theodore Judah, who was an initial champion of this endeavor and surveyor of the route, there was a way. He believed the nearly uninterrupted ridge, which sits between the Bear and American rivers, was the Central Pacific's best bet for making it over the summit. In November of 1863, work in Placer County started at present-day Roseville. Construction was relatively smooth and track was laid by spring. Many of the raw materials, such as timber for railroad ties and gravel for building road beds, could be found in abundance nearby. Once the railroad passed Newcastle, the easy work was over. The Central Pacific line ran into its first real challenge, carving out Bloomer Cut. In June, workers began the dangerous and exhausting job of cutting a wedge through a high mound at Bloomer Divide. The peak of this hill is 62 feet high and composed of a mixture of compacted clay and gravel that acted like concrete. This challenge required drilling holes and then dangerously blasting with black powder. Due to the cramped quarters, there was not enough room to overcome the work with large numbers of workers. Lack of funding, an estimated 40 to 60 workers toiled on and off for almost a year to blast just 800 feet through the mound until finally laying the rail in early May of 1865. When it was finished, the cut was hailed as the eighth wonder of the world. Even so, it was far from the most difficult problem encountered as the track wound its way toward Donner Summit. Because of the Civil War raging back east, laborers were in short supply. Charles Crocker suggested hiring Chinese to build the line over the Sierra Nevada. Despite initial reservations, eventually more than 12,000 Chinese were employed. In order to maintain Judah's engineering standards as the line progressed, some mountain ravines had to be spanned by way of wooden trestles. The two largest were the Long Ravine Trestle that was 878 feet long and 120 feet high, and the Secret Town Trestle, which was 1,100 feet long and 90 feet high. These remarkable structures required immense time and could also catch fire from steam engine sparks. To solve these problems, the areas under the trestle were filled in with dirt and rocks brought in by the cartload. This built up the enormous berm the railroad sits on today. After making its way through the town of Colfax and beyond Long Ravine, the work grew increasingly difficult. With all the clear cutting and granite blasting, the cost of grading rose to over $100,000 per mile. The granite of the Sierra Nevada began to show itself in all its near-impervious glory at the spur known as Cape Horn, which loomed 2,200 feet above the waters of the American River below. Passing around this outcropping required cutting a ledge around the outside edge of this cliff face on which to run the tracks. The rock was chipped and blasted day by day from September of 1865 until the winter set in. Astonishing everyone involved, the blasting work was done before the snowy weather forced a retreat down the mountain until spring. By May of 1866, the track was laid around Cape Horn, and another impossible feat had been accomplished. Railroad travelers today can still look out their windows as they pass by Cape Horn and get a sense of the sheer fortitude required to carve this ledge. The biggest miscalculation made by Judah was that trains could overcome the huge amount of snow on the summit. Even armed with the latest snowplow technology, a giant iron wedge mounted to the front of a series of locomotives, steam power was no match for a hard winter where snow drifts as high as 30 feet could bury the tracks. From 1866 to 1868, the crews camped at Cisco while they constructed a massive shed system to shelter the tracks between tunnels. These sheds needed to be sturdy enough to withstand heavy snowfall, as well as the destructive forces of avalanches. Once built, these flammable wooden structures were immediately tested by sparks thrown off from the passing trains, failing numerous times, which ended with miles of sheds in ashes. Over 37 miles of snow sheds at a cost of over $2 million have been built up the western and down the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada. Portions of this system continue to protect rail traffic lumbering across the summit 150 years later and can still be seen by travelers driving along Interstate 80. As the line continued to steam through the Sierra, it was critical to avoid creating sharp curves. At lower elevations, maintaining this engineering standard was a hassle, but once work progressed into the formidable granite of the Sierras, it became a colossal problem. At 1,659 feet long, the summit tunnel was the single biggest obstacle on the entire railroad line. While this monumental task would be difficult enough in good weather, 6 months of the year the summit of the Sierra was prone to snow on the ground. Add to that the fact that this was a race to Utah, and the average tunnel depth carved per day was around 6 inches. When digging the tunnel from both ends wasn't fast enough, a decision was made to sink a 70-foot shaft where the middle of the tunnel would be so workers could blast back in both directions and effectively double the speed of the project. That, combined with working around the clock, brought the time it took to build the tunnel down to less than 2 years. Once the tracks reached the state line and left the scenic and rugged environs of Placer County, the speed of track laying increased from an average of 30 miles per year to the relatively breakneck pace that set the countrywide record of 10 miles of track laid in a single day. Far from being a swindle, the railroad brought new prosperity to California by lowering the cost of goods flowing into and out of the state and tying the West to the rest of the country.
Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew with Living History's Mysteries and Three-Eyed Raven Productions. We are still up here at the North Pole getting ready for Christmas. Now of course I'm helping out Santa where I can.
Helping out my fuzzy white butt.
Where I can. But I'm just here to remind you guys that until the 15th of December, we have got Drew's Santa Claus, the Adopt-A-Family and the Toys-For-Tots program going on here on the channel. Yep, that's right. For the first time since we originally got started back in 2018 here on the platform, we decided it was about time that we started getting the family involved. It's something I've always wanted to do. You know, make somebody else's Christmas just a little bit brighter. We ain't got a Yule log to pee on or a hearth to throw it into. But you know, Christmas time is time to think about others. And well, that's right. Time to think about others. So, if you'd like to make a cash donation, you could do so by going to our normal PayPal. That's the www.paypal.me/MrHistory2020. If you'd like to make a toy donation, a gift donation, or even a non-perishable food donation, you can get a hold of us at livinghistorycomesalive@gmail.com, and we'll get a mailing address right back to you where those items can be sent. So there you have it. You got the PayPal account, you got the Gmail. Anything's appreciated. Every little bit goes together to make somebody else's Christmas just a little brighter than what it would be. God bless y'all, and we'll see you down the road. Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew. I'm up here at the Cass, Michigan Christmas tree lighting ceremony, breaking into Christmas season. Y'all see who's back here behind me. Up here on the brand new stage the town built. You ought to check out this line of people.
Sorry.
Every kid in the county showed up for this, just like they do every year. All right, Michigan, America, and the world. Here's two of our finest up here enjoying the ceremony. Hope you guys are having fun.
They are, thank you.
You can always count on our local law enforcement to keep everybody safe. We love them for it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Every kid in the county showed up for this, just like they do every year. Santa, I know you're watching. From your safe little warm spot up there in your workshop at the North Pole, just remember, Cass, Michigan, bud. We know how to do it right. We always celebrate the Christmas spirit and Santa Claus. We got our own little local Santa right back here, handing out small gifts to the kids and breaking into Christmas season. Let's go check out the rest of this.